sound to grow your Pinterest account by over 1,000% using idea pins strategically? Sounds pretty great, right? I'm Emily Vales. I'm a Pinterest marketing and ads strategist, and for almost 5 years now, I've been helping my clients and also students increase their traffic and turn it into profit through the power of Pinterest marketing. And today I'm going to share with you how I grew my Pinterest account by literally over 1,000% once I started strategically using idea pins. So for a little background, I want to share with you kind of the evolution of idea pins. So idea pins were originally rolled out in beta in September of 2020. And Pinterest actually called this specific pin format story pins. I think this led to a little bit of confusion though, because Pinterest creators weren't really sure what type of content they should be creating in these story pins. And this pin format was really cool because you could share video, or you could share static images, or you could share a combination of both video and static content within this new pin format. And previously, we had, as Pinterest creators, been used to standard pins or static pins, or we had video pins where people could watch a video. Both of these pin formats were very different than the story pin because both of those were linkable. Story pins, when they were released, they did not have a link, which was a little hard for Pinterest creators to get past because we are used to, as business owners, using Pinterest to drive traffic. So we use Pinterest to drive traffic to our offers, our lead magnets, our blog, our affiliates, our Etsy stores. And so when we heard that Pinterest wanted us to create this new pin format, but we couldn't drive traffic anywhere with them, it kind of felt like, okay, what's the purpose in these pins? Not to mention, hence the name story, we thought that maybe they were supposed to be like Instagram stories where we share what we're doing in our daily life, or little snippets and funny humor and voiceovers. And really, that is not why Pinterest created story pins. So in 2021, they actually renamed story pins to idea pins. And this gave a little bit more clarity as to what Pinterest wanted creators to be doing with this specific pin format. They really wanted Pinterest creators to be sharing a fully conceptualized idea so that when a Pinterest user interacted or watched an idea pin, they could take action on that idea after they watched the pin. So really, they didn't actually need to leave the platform. And you might be wondering, why would Pinterest not want people to leave the platform when that's the whole purpose of the platform? And I believe part of that has to do with advertising dollars, because when people are watching idea pins, they're staying on the platform longer. Pinterest is public, they have skin in the game, a reason to want to keep people on their platform and also coming back to their platform. And another layer into all of this is that we now had, at the time, TikTok, and then there was the creation of Instagram Reels. So all of these platforms were creating, or they were having a way for their creators on their platforms to be sharing short form video, and people were devouring that short form video. And so Pinterest, in my opinion, was really trying to keep up with the other platforms. But once again, they were kind of ticking off Pinterest creators a little bit because we kept saying, okay, this is fine, this is great, but we want a link. So fast forward to 2022, and Pinterest creators did not get that link for the idea pins that they were asking for, but Pinterest did roll out something called the Pinterest Creator Rewards program. The thing that got tricky with the Pinterest Creator Rewards program, and I was actually a part of the rewards program, I did get access to it, but not everybody got access to the program. And so essentially what Pinterest was doing with that program, they were allowing Pinterest creators, but only certain Pinterest creators, to be monetizing their idea pins. And let me just tell you, it was a great monetization program in my opinion. I once had an idea pin that made over $500, and it actually only took me about 15 or 20 minutes to make. So it was really great for the people who got access to that program. However, not everybody got access, and people were getting a little bit impatient with waiting for that new feature and monetization program to be rolled out to their account. So I personally got access in June of 2022, and then Pinterest kind of sent everybody into a tailspin because abruptly in December of 2022, they announced that they were ending the Pinterest Creator Rewards program. But they announced something very exciting. They announced that they finally were going to be giving Pinterest creators what they had been asking for all along, and that was a link to drive traffic with their idea pins. Now, I want to share with you what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, where you were probably thinking, okay, how is this playing into my Pinterest strategy? How am I going to use these to grow? So as I mentioned, I got access to Pinterest Creator Rewards in June of 2022. And although I am sad that they canceled the program, one thing that I'm really grateful for that the Creator Rewards taught me was how powerful idea pins really were in increasing my Pinterest traffic and really growing my overall Pinterest account. So part of the program was getting traction with your idea pins. You were essentially getting paid for how many saves you were getting on your idea pins. And the more idea pins you created, the more chances that you could meet their goals. And you might be thinking right now, Emily, why are you explaining this to me if it's not even a thing anymore? Well, here's the piece that I want to share with you that was huge and a game changer for growing my Pinterest account. I started creating at least one idea pin a day. And that is finally when I started to see significant traction and growth for my Pinterest account. I literally, in the past, now it's been about 8-9 months since I originally got access to the Creator Rewards program. And around that time was when I started creating one a day. And I have grown my Pinterest account over 1,000%. And it's not just through engagement or impressions, but I've been getting more saves and overall traffic leaving, so people leaving Pinterest and going to my website. I've seen my entire Pinterest account grow across the board. So even though I was seeing great results for my idea pins, they weren't linkable at the time. So you might be thinking too, well, how are you also increasing your traffic if those idea pins that were performing well weren't linkable at the time? Well, because my Pinterest account was growing overall, that sends signals to the Pinterest algorithm that, hey, this Pinterest creator is sharing really valuable, high quality content. You should share more of their content to people. So I was finding that my standard pins were performing better, my video pins were performing better. Overall, I was just seeing much more traction, but I would attribute that to creating that one idea pin a day. Now, I'm not saying that that's the magic trick where you're just gonna grow and explode overnight, but that was a really big change I made in my Pinterest strategy that I really saw significant growth. And I have now, even though that the Creator Rewards is no longer, I have really stuck with that consistency in sharing that at least one idea pin a day that shared lots of great, high quality, educational, inspirational content that's really serving my audience. And once I figured out too, because I was creating a higher volume of idea pins, I was able to figure out sort of a format and a framework for my idea pins that was really working with my audience. So then I could create more of that. So it was so powerful to sort of do that test. And like I said, I really attribute that success to the Creator Rewards because it really spurred me to start creating more idea pins. And other creators I could totally understand where if they didn't have access to that program, they wouldn't necessarily be creating one idea pin a day because they are time consuming to really make sure that they are optimized. So now we're in 2023 and we don't have the Creator Rewards program, but finally I have a really exciting announcement. Just last week, I noticed that I finally have the ability to link my idea pins. And I think that this could be a game changer for you and your Pinterest strategy this year. So I want to share a couple of things with you before I wrap up this video so that you can grow your Pinterest account, traffic, and profit using idea pins. And I want to cover a few of the best practices and then also how to figure out if you have access to adding a link to your idea pins, because it's not exactly where you might think it would be. So first of all, let's talk about best practices if you want to be seeing significant growth with your idea pins. So the first thing I want to recommend when you are creating your idea pins is you want to either create on the platform, or you can repurpose content from your social media accounts, but you want to make sure that you are creating content that is highly educational and inspirational. So one thing that I find that does not resonate as well or perform as well on Pinterest is some of the funny voiceovers or trending audio, some of those things that we see on social media that does really well, that doesn't always translate well on Pinterest. And you have to think about it differently because Pinterest is a search engine. So people are coming there, they have a problem, and they're actively looking for a solution. So you have to think about that they have a different mindset. So number one, for best practices with your idea pins, you want to make sure that you have inspirational and educational content. Number two, you want to make sure that you are fully optimizing that idea pin for the search engine. So you want to use keywords in the text overlay on your idea pins. You want to use keywords in the title and in the description for your idea pins. And then you also want to add up to 10 highly relevant tags. Tip number three, you want to create those idea pins on your mobile app. Pinterest actually tells us to create our idea pins on the app, and that's because on the app you have access to different features that you don't on the desktop. So some of those features include stickers, music. There's actually quite a few different nuances that you see on the app that you don't on the desktop. So I highly recommend creating them on the app. And then here is where the link comes into play. So as I was playing around, I noticed the past couple weeks or since the beginning of 2023 that my idea pins were acting a little bit wonky, and it made me feel like some of the text looked grainy and weird, and it made me feel like the app was actually going through an update. And I think that Pinterest is working on rolling out that link for idea pins on a larger scale. And when a update is rolled out, sometimes there's going to be some growing pains, right? So I'm not seeing the ability to add a link on the Pinterest app yet, and I think that we will see that, but where I actually did see it is on my desktop. Now, it's in a little bit of a strange roundabout way to add that link. So the first thing I did was I actually published my idea pins for the past week on my mobile device or on the app. And then what I did was I went to my desktop and I went to edit, so I hit the pencil, I went to edit my idea pin on the desktop. And then that's where I saw that I had access to add in the link. So I am going to show you really fast what that looks like when you're adding in that link on your desktop so you can see a quick view of how that appears. Here we are on my Pinterest account, and you can see here are all of my idea pins, and because we have not been able to link them up until this point, they do not have links. However, you can see this idea pin with the wonky looking stats that say this stat is not available. This is one that I went in and edited, and I did add a link. So these ones where we can still see the stats, those are ones where if I click on it, you can see that there is no link. It has a description, a keyword optimized title. You can see I've added text overlay, so they are optimized idea pins. But let's go ahead and check out the one that I did go in and add a link to. Here is the one that I added that
something that has surprised.
Okay. I don't know how it keeps jumping to that one. Let's see if we can't get the right one. Okay, here we go. So here is the one that I added the link to, and you'll see right up here that this is a link for my blog. So I chose content that was relevant to this idea pin. So it was a little bit confusing because at this point, when I created and published this idea pin, I didn't realize that I had the ability to add a link yet. So I was not creating this pin thinking I would be able to link to a specific blog post. But once I saw I had access and I figured that out, then I went back to this idea pin and I edited it and I added this link. So you can see here,
and don't mind my 500 tabs open, I added a link to a blog post that would make sense. So this idea pin is about what I would do if I was just getting started on Pinterest. And then I linked it to the ultimate guide to an organic Pinterest strategy. So you always want to make sure that wherever you're linking that pin to, even if you're going back and adding a link once you've already published it, that obviously the pin is linking to a post or a product that it makes sense with whatever the topic of that idea pin is about. So now I'm going to go back and I am going to show you an idea pin that I've recently created that does not have a link. So this one right here, I just created this one, and you can see here on this one, there are no links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on these three dots, click on edit pin, and then you'll see here in the notes section, that's where I've left my description. I have the title, and then right here is that magic place where you can add a link. So I would add a link wherever I want to direct that pin. Once again, you want to make sure that it makes sense and is a logical place to link it based off of whatever the topic of your idea pin is. You can edit the board you would like to add it to, and voila. Once you have added the link, I'm not going to add one right now, I would click save, and then it would look like that other pin I showed you that had the link for the idea pin.
Okay, so now that we have looked at what it looks like to add in that link on our desktop, I think that we are just going to have to hang tight and hope that Pinterest also releases the update where we can add in that link on the Pinterest mobile app. I think that we just have to be patient. But the last thing, as we are talking about best practices in using idea pins to strategically grow our Pinterest account, I think the last thing that we need to address is, now that we have the ability to add a link, what does this mean for our idea pins? Do we change the type of content we're sharing? Because historically with our standard and our video pins, we're used to adding text overlay that really hooks in the audience. So the 10 best tips for traveling with toddlers, or 5 must-try dinner recipes. So you get the idea. The text overlay on our standard and our video pins, or maybe even the image, it makes you want to click through to get more information. Whereas with our idea pins, like I mentioned, we had been sharing a fully conceptualized idea where the pinner felt like they didn't necessarily have to leave the platform to get more information. So here's what I recommend right now. Still having a really strong hook, or something that grabs your audience so that they want to watch your idea pin. You educate and inspire your audience through the idea pin, and then at the end, I do recommend having a really great call to action, or a CTA. So you can tell your audience to save that pin. That's a great call to action. To follow you, because followers do matter on Pinterest. But what you can also do is you can tell the audience if they want access to a specific free training, or if they want even more information on that topic, or if they would like to purchase this product. So you can essentially be telling them why they should leave that idea pin and go and visit wherever you are directing that idea pin. So you can kind of explain to them why they should be leaving the platform. Now, I haven't tested this a lot myself because I literally just got access to the link for my idea pins, and I'm not really sure what that is going to look like and how that's going to impact my idea pins, if it will at all, because right now I am still seeing that idea pins are definitely favored for distribution. That means that far and wide, my idea pins perform way better than my standard or my video. So I'm gonna keep creating idea pins, and I'm gonna play around and test a few different things. I'm gonna play around with the calls to action. Some of my idea pins, I tell people just to follow me, but now that I do have a link, I am going to work on creating idea pins and still sharing a really great, fully conceptualized idea that serves my audience, but then also explaining to them why they might want to leave Pinterest and go to wherever I'm directing them, whether that be my blog or signing up for my free webinar. So that might be something that you play around and test. And then to really wrap up this video, here are a couple more tips for creating amazing idea pins that are going to grow your Pinterest account. I do highly recommend using short form video in your idea pins. I really attribute that to my idea pins performing well. I've tested just static images in my idea pins and maybe even stock videos, and I just find that they don't resonate or perform as well as original content or even talking directly to the camera like I am now. I'm finding that people really do enjoy connecting to that Pinterest creator, and it's a different form of human connection. So I highly recommend testing different things with your idea pins and seeing what performs well with your audience, because like I mentioned throughout this entire video, I really attribute so much of my success and growth in the past 6 months on Pinterest to idea pins. So I think that they could be something that really helps spur the growth of your Pinterest account. If this video was helpful, please go ahead and like this video and let me know in the comments what other questions you have. I know that I covered a lot and I would love to help you. And if there are other specific Pinterest marketing strategy videos you would like created, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I want to create content that serves you. And be sure to subscribe my channel because I am releasing new episodes on a weekly basis and I would hate for you to miss an episode. I do want to share too that in the description for this video, I am linking to my idea pin starter kit, and that is essentially your one-stop shop for creating and optimizing your idea pins. So if you feel like you need a more in-depth tutorial and essentially a mini course on creating idea pins strategically, understanding how to analyze the results and the growth of them, be sure to check out that idea pin starter kit. I hope you found this video helpful and I can't wait to see you again in next week's episode. Bye for now.